So the first thing we talked about was freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is the way that the artists were able to show what they were feeling at the time through their art form. And throughout Chicano Park, you can see an evolution of how art has been changing over the years. So you'll see some from the 60s and you'll see some from now. And it also just ties in with the cultural expression. So you see how they grew up with what their life was like and like the community around them.
It's like a reflection of the time. So these freedom of protest, freedom of speech, freedom of expressions can all be seen in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which means that these people have the right to, perform all these freedoms of like expression. They shouldn't be scrutinized or stopped.
The I-5 freeway was very important to San Diego. Due to its industrial and military character, a new freeway was built, transporting people, goods, and others all around California, even reaching Seattle. Its distance and quickness was important for traveling and transportation.
Movement of things like people traveling on the I-5 through California and the movement of goods were moved through California using the I-5 freeway, which is very, very cool.
The construction of a highway patrol station in the neighborhood of Barrio Logan turned those areas into a manufacturing zone.
Which construction sites didn't acknowledge the residents that were still living there and have property.
Since the area was more low income, construction sites were able to continue the expansion without confirming local residents living there.
With the decreasing of the living condition of Barrio Logan due to the incursions of rapid urban growth and local governments trying to build this bridge in the middle of their community, many people ended up leaving, which really messed up the voice of the community, because as a community together, your voice is very powerful, but when it's basically taken away from you, you're very muffled. So there was no petitions, no forums, or no large-scale protests, which is needed to make real change and to have your voice really be considered. But of course, the community recovered, and with even greater strength to eventually return and to make change.
In these protests, students brought passion, peace, dedication, and quantity, which contributed heavily towards nurturing the marriage between the park and the larger Chicano rights movement. They did this by peacefully protesting and not being violent, and they also, since they all took they took the Chicano class at City College, they educated not only themselves but everyone around them, the community, and also younger generations.
Art is inspiring and effective at raising consciousness.
People like art, whether it is graffiti or real.
Art is a good way to show history and background for different cultures.
Chicano muralism offered a means of neighborhood beautification, and it also asserted a new barrio logos.
Chicano artists created these murals because of their cultural significance to Chicanos and Chicano civil rights and history. It's an expressionary way of storytelling and protest that was brought and embedded by nuestros ancestros before us.
The U.S. government only funded the museum and culture center after 12 days of protesting.
Another way the government helped the park is not taking down the murals or graffiti art that was made.
Okay. So according to the author, why did Governor Ronald Reagan sign the bill that allowed for the creation of Chicano Park? Well, he responded to the fact that one person died in a people's power in Brooklyn.
It was also it was less of the fact that he felt bad, and it was more of a PR response because he didn't want to look bad.
In May 1973, the Chicano art movement recognized that they need to represent the Mexican community. So what they did is that they asked a group of Toltecas in Aztlan to color the walls of the streets. But that make some professional artists mad because that doesn't represent all the really meaning of the Chicano movement.
The murals in Chicano Park depicted Mexican figures such as Zapata and Pancho Villa,
as well as Mexican/Aztec mythological creatures such as Quetzalcoatl.
Overall, the murals in Chicano Park depict a pride in their history, culture, as well as their struggles for sovereignty.
The murals in Chicano Park are being preserved as a constant reminder of community.
Chicano Park is still being enhanced because the story isn't over yet and the youth are here to express themselves and their history.
Chicano Park is still here because of its cultural significance and history with Chicano people.
The reason Chicano Park still stands today is because it shows a strong sense of community, not only as a community park, but also as a representation of a past struggle.
Chicano Park was made by the people for the people.
The park also lets the younger generation express themselves and show that their story still continues.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
And I think that Chicano Park does this because it's a way of keeping the community together, and it's a way to see a little bit more of the culture that San Diego has.
It's also a way of teaching others about the history of Chicano people, and it also helps younger generations see, their past culture and what the troubleships people had to go through to get to where we are right now.
It still exists because it represents a community who stuck together to fight for what they believed in. It's a mark of history, culture, and activism, and it's still being enhanced today because the story isn't over yet, and there's still so many stories to tell.
Chicano Park still exists today because of the strengths of their community and the way it's constantly full of life with events and other things. The community there is present and engaging, preserving the beautiful environment they created out of many hardships that they endured.
The murals are being preserved by the constantly present community, showing their history and their struggles. They're being continually enhanced by newer generations showing their struggles as well. This shows how the community's stories continue to...
Chicano Park is a living representation of the cultural and political upbringings of the civil rights of Chicano and Latinx movement.
Chicano Park remains a constant reminder of the resilience that a community brings and holds.
In Chicano Park, the community keeps murals alive to preserve the history and the struggles.
I think Chicano Park and the Culture Center still exists because it's an important part of history, especially San Diego's history. And it also still exists because the community makes a great effort to upkeep it, and they're still very passionate about the park, even after all this time. So it's really just a community effort.
Chicano Park continues to tell the stories of its histories. It holds memories and important messages. Murals are being enhanced to show new editions of the culture. Murals are symbolisms of community activism. Chicano Park itself is a historical landmark for the Chicano community. It expresses a sense of power to the world from a community that has been forced to change but prevailed and kept ownership of their cultural identity.
For us, the preservance of the mural stands as a reminder of the community's power, the community itself, and a reminder of the injustices put onto the community, as well as of culture and pride in their culture, seeing their ancestry and who they are in a very beautiful way.
Hey Ethan, in your opinion, why does Chicano Park still exist?
Well, Caden, the reason Chicano Park still exists is because the community uses it and maintains the park. Also, Chicano Park is a constant reminder of community and a symbol of culture / community resilience.